Okay, so Dhruva Maharaj left his kingdom at a mature age, and his son Utkal didn't want to accept the throne. So that's where we are. The great sage Maitreya replied, I'll read the verse one time. Maitreya Uvacha Dhruvasya Chotkala Putraha Pitari Prasthite Vanam Sarvabhauma Shriyam Naichad Adhirajasanam Pituhu. The great sage Maitreya said, My dear Vidura, when Maharaj Dhruva departed for the forest, his son Utkal did not desire to accept the opulent throne of his father, which was meant for the ruler of all the lands of this planet. Hmm. So, such a big kingdom, and he says, one. So, from his very birth, Utkal was fully satisfied and unattached to the world. So, he was satisfied, he didn't want any. He was equipoised, for he could see everything resting in the super soul and the super soul present in everyone's heart. Hmm. So he was detached from the beginning. He didn't want to get involved with kingdom like that. He was equipoised, and everywhere he could see Krishna in the heart of every living entity. The symptoms and characteristics of Utkal, the son of Maharaj Dhruva, are those of a Mahabhagavat. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati. One who sees me everywhere, uh, sarvam cha mai pashyati, and sees everything in me. I am never lost to him, nor is he ever lost to me. Tasyaham na pranashyami, sachame na pranashyati. A highly advanced devotee sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead everywhere. And he sees also everything resting in the Supreme. So he sees Krishna's hand in everything, in the different situations and the events that happen in one's life. And the other thing is also he sees everything as Krishna's energy. So this is coming from God. So, like Krishna says, wherever you see any opulence or anything like that, you know that it is a spark of my splendor. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. Lord Krishna is spread all over the universe in his impersonal feature. Like sun is in one place, but through its energy, the sun is everywhere. Everything is resting on him, but that does not mean everything is he himself. A highly advanced Mahabhagavat devotee sees in this spirit. He sees the same super soul, Paramatma, existing within everyone's heart. So God is with everybody, regardless of discrimination based on different material forms of the living entities. Whatever type of body you got, animal body, bird body, Krishna is there with you in the heart. So he sees everyone as part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Mahabhagavat, who experiences the Supreme Godhead's presence everywhere, is never missing from the sight of the Supreme Lord. Nor is the Supreme Lord ever lost from his sight. Because he's always thinking of serving Krishna, Krishna's service, and like he sees, just like a businessman sees every opportunity um, or every situation, whether it is favorable for doing business, right? How is it going to impact my business? Similarly, those who are Krishna's servants, they see every situation as an opportunity to spread Krishna consciousness, or everything as Krishna's energy. This is possible only when one is advanced in love of Godhead. Sukhdevanand Prabhu, we can see Sukhdevanand Prabhu on the camera, but he's gone now. Okay, now he's back. Okay. Um, we'll read one more verse. Yeah. Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam Pratyastamita Vigraham Avabodha Rasaikatmyam Anandam Anushantatam Avyavachina Yogagni Dagda Karma Malashayah Swarupam Avarundano Natmanonyam Tadekshata. By expansion of his knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, he had already attained liberation from the bondage of the body. This liberation is known as Nirvana. He was situated in transcendental bliss, and he continued always in that blissful existence, which expanded more and more. So he was in Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma stage. When one becomes free from all these bodily designations and comes to realize that I am spirit soul, then you are very joyful. I have nothing to gain, nothing to lose. This was possible for him by continual practice of Bhakti Yoga. He becomes like carefree, right? Whatever he has, he uses it in Krishna's service. He is not hankering to get this and that for enjoyment because he is already satisfied within himself. So he's not looking for any enjoyment from outside. He just serves God and he feels very happy. So if he's already happy, then why would he look for something other thing for happiness? He's already happy in his service to God. And whatever God provides, he uses that in Krishna's, in God's service. So this was possible, and Krishna takes care because he provides everything, whatever is needed. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana pariyupasate tesham nitya vyuktanam yogakshemam vahamiham. So Krishna will provide, and he remains very joyful. Sometimes, we may have a lot of things, but our quality of life is not very good because there is so much anxiety because of all this unfulfilled desires and so many things, and we want so many things, and so the quality of life is full of anxiety. Although we are thinking that by getting so many things I will get so much happiness, but sometimes person in poverty can be very happy and joyful. Of course, not in poverty, but maybe he just has enough and he can be happy. Poverty also sometimes, there are many devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like Kulavich Sridhar who were very poor, but they were very happy. So sometimes we think that more things I get, then more I'll be happy. But it's not necessarily true. It can give more anxiety also. So real happiness is not dependent. If real happiness means you're not dependent, you're just experiencing happiness from within. And it does not depend on material conditions. Then you can say you're really happy. If you're happy in any situation, because you can connect to God in any situation. So, and if you're feeling happy, then you're happy in any situation. So that's the situation, or that's the platform we want to come to, where we can be happy always. Right? We want to be happy always, and we want to be happy always. But if it is depending on material conditions or happiness, then it will not be always happy because material conditions are always fluctuating. My body and everything, starting with my body and the surrounding and everything, is fluctuating. Our relationships and everything. So real happiness means just feeling from happiness from within. Or within means you want to serve Krishna. So you may go to temple and do some devotional service. Or you can sit down at one place and chant Hare Krishna. So like that. That's a real uh, way to become happy. This was possible. Money is needed. Yesterday we were talking about money. Money is needed to have a certain level of, comfort and like that, to pay your necessities, like food and shelter. But after some point, it is not that more money will give me more happiness. So this was possible for him by continual practice of bhakti yoga, which is compared to fire because it burns away all dirty material things. When actually one becomes very pure in heart and free from material desires, then he feels very happy and joyful. Sometimes we think more I indulge in my material desires, then more I'll be happy. But actually, it's the opposite. The more we become free from material desires, then we will not have desires. No, we will have spiritual desires. So we have to, it is difficult. It is easy to say, but we all have material desires. It's difficult. But we have to pray to Krishna. Krishna, please, as Prahlad Maharaj said, Krishna, please take away all these desires which are not conducive for bhakti from away from my heart. You are all powerful. You can take away all these anarthas. Those desires which are not conducive for bhakti are called anarthas. Krishna, please take away. I am incapable of, freeing myself from these anarthas because they are very deep rooted and I'm so much conditioned. I need your help. Without you, I cannot become, you know, purified at heart. So in this mood, we should chant Hare Krishna. In a helpless mood, Krishna, I am helpless against my own anarthas. So you please help me, Krishna. I take shelter of you. I want to take shelter of you. Please help. Please help. Like Vaisheshika Prabhu once he asked, what does chanting Hare Krishna mean? It's you're telling Krishna, I need help. Krishna, I need help. Please help me. Please help me. I'm helpless. Helpless. Prabhupada also says, like a baby is helpless, crying for the mother. So the more we feel helpless and dependent on Krishna, the better it is. Because then Krishna will, and we take shelter, so the Krishna will bestow his mercy upon us. So he was always situated in his constitutional position of self-realization and he could not see anything else but the Supreme Lord and himself engaged in discharging devotional service. So Utkal was always in self-realization and he engaged in discharging devotional service. These two verses explain the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kangshati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. And sometimes we have some desire that I should get this. See a person who has those things. Are they completely happy? No, it's not like that. So in that way we can also convince ourselves about all these material desires we are hankering for, that yeah, any person who has those things, they are also not happy. So if I get those things, how will I be happy? Just like Vyasadeva, he wrote all the scriptures and then he was not happy after writing all the scriptures until he wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. So if the author himself is not happy, how can we be happy by doing karma kanda and all these things? So we can think like that. Of course, he has written all the scriptures to cater to the needs of all the people. But so, yeah, sometimes, we think like, yeah, people are very happy, they have what they want and they're very happy. But that's not the fact. They're in anxiety, everybody's in anxiety. Prabhupada says there's nobody happy in this material world except one who is a pure devotee or a mad person, but he is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he achieves pure devotional service unto me. This is also explained by Lord Chaitanya in his Shikshashtaka in the beginning of the first verse. Chetodharpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shreyakairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam. The Bhakti Yoga system is the topmost yoga system, and in this system, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the foremost performance of devotional service. There is a verse: devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name is the ultimate religious principle in the human society. Etavan nirvidyamananam ichchatam kuto bhayam yoginam nripanirnitam
Hare
harer
Namanukirtanam.
namanukirtanam. No, it's the surest way of success for all. That is, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for one who is desirous of all.
Yeah, this one is
Beginning.
constant chanting of the holy name is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all.
Hmm.
Is the so ultimate religious principle, right? Yeah. So that is etavaneva lokesmin pumsam dharma parasmrita
Smrita
bhakti yogo bhagavati tannam
Pranadibhi.
granadibhi.
Hmm. Etavan lokes. Etavan eva
Etavan eva lokesmin
lokesmin.
pumsam dharma parasmrita. I'm pasting.
एतवानेव लोकेऽस्मिन् पुंसां धर्मपरस्मृतः भक्तियोगो भगवति तन्नाम ग्रहणादिभिः. Devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the ultimate religious principle for the living entity in the human society. So, our devotional service begins with the chanting of the holy name. Sevan mukhe hi jivado swayam eva surati yada. Ata Shri Krishna namadi na bhavet grayam indriye. Sevan mukhe hi jivado. It begins with the tongue. A service attitude beginning with the tongue, which is chanting Hare Krishna and honoring Krishna Prasad, Prasad Seva. So, the Bhakti Yoga system is the topmost yoga system, and in this system, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the foremost performance of devotional service. By chanting the holy name, one can attain perfection of nirvana or liberation from material existence. Naam hoite hoy sarvat jagat nistar, kali kale naam roop, kali kale naam roop, Krishna avatar.
Krishna avatar.
नाम होते संसार मोचन. That is another verse. Right.
Also, Bhajanera Madhya Shesh Navavida Bhakti Krishna Prem Krishna Dhite Dhare Bhakti चार मध्य सर्वश्रेष्ठ हरि नाम संकीर्तन नैरप्रादे नाम ले पाया प्रेम धन.
Hmm. Yeah, and there was another one with Sansar Mochan. What is that verse? One.
That's not a Chaitanya Charitamrita verse, right? It's
Chaitanya Charitamrita, but some.
was it?
Yeah, it's Bengali verse.
Sorry, Prabhu.
It's a Bengali verse.
Oh, okay. So this is a Chaitanya Charitamrita verse you're saying?
Yeah.
Sansar Mocha.
Sansara Mochan. Mochan. Krishna mantra hoite hobe sansara.
Mochan. Krishna नाम होते पावे कृष्णेरा चरण.
That's the verse I was thinking. Krishna mantra hoite hobe sansara mochan. Means mochan means mukti, one deliverance. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one can obtain freedom from material existence. Krishna nam hoite pabe Krishna charan. Indeed, simply by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. Pabe Krishna charan, lotus feet. Yeah. So that is the Prabhupada is saying here, right? So by chanting the holy name, one can attain perfection of nirvana or liberation from material existence. So we should not doubt. Like in Haridas Thakur, who was that? Gopal Chakravarti.
Chakravarti.
Gopal Chakravarti was doubting. When Haridas Thakur said by chanting the holy name, even in Namabhas you can get liberation. And he was doubting this. So, like that. But then, of course, he had leprosy and he was offending Haridas Thakur. And so increase one's blissful life of spiritual existence is described by Lord Chaitanya. So if we chant very nicely, very, very nicely, very attentively, then we can perceive the difference in our consciousness. If we do that chanting every day, if we chant, maybe chant for like a month every day very nicely, without any, I mean, we have distractions, but we are trying. If we try and we pray to Krishna. What was this? I think one time this Rukmini Krishna Prabhu was saying we should cry, try and cry. Like he was saying something like that. So we should try and cry. So try, but try is not enough. So we need mercy. So we should cry. Because vikshepa, this distraction is very difficult to avoid. So we have to cry. Every mantra we have to cry, Krishna, please help me chant this mantra nicely. Please help me, Krishna. I want to really please you by chanting nicely. Krishna, please help. So try and cry, he was saying. When one is correct, what was he saying? Try and cry, something like that. He was saying, try and cry. We heard that.
Yes.
Yeah. So this should be our goal. Try and cry in everything. When one is situated in that position, he no longer has any interest in material opulence or even a royal throne and sovereignty over the whole planet. So, who has received the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it is said that even the position of Indra and this Brahma is like Kitayate. Mahendra Vidischa Kitayate. Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate.
कैवल्यं नैकायते त्रिदशा पुराकाश पुष्पायते दुर्दान्ते इंद्रिय काल सेपा पतली पोत का दंस्तायते विश्वं पूर्ण सुखायते विधि महेंद्रादिश्च कटायते यत् करुण्य कटाश्वे भवतं तं वाणमे वस्तु
Vidhi Mahendra Adischa Kitayate. Kita is like a word. Kita Janma Hoy. Okay, so that's they feel like this is so much bliss in Krishna consciousness. Everything else pales in front of it. Of course, you have to experience like that. So, if you surrender to Krishna really, then there is so much bliss. When one is situated in that position, he no longer has any interest in material opulence or even a royal throne and sovereignty over the whole planet. That's why you see all these devotees. Prahlad Maharaj is asked, Nrsimha Dev is giving a blank check. You fill in whatever amount you want. You ask whatever you want. And Prahlad is not asking anything. Kolavech Sridhar also. I mean, he's asking, please forgive my father, and then please take away all the material desires from the core of my heart. And Kolavech Sridhar also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, you want, take whatever you want, and I will give you an kingdom which is unrivaled. You'll be the king, nobody, and no enemies, and you will rule over the whole planet. He says, no, I don't want this. So the pleasure from devotional service is so much. They are deriving pleasure from devotional services so much that they don't find any other pleasure equal to that. So, and who gives that pleasure? Krishna gives that pleasure in the heart. So Krishna reciprocates and then gives so much pleasure to the devotee in service that he says, no, I don't want anything. I just want your service. Mama Janmani Janmani Ishware Bhavata Bhakti Hituki Tvai. So that is the situation one can come to. This situation is called Virakti Anyatra Syat. Bhakti Paresha Anubhavo Virakti Anyatra Syat. That's the verse. Bhakti Paresha Anubhavo.
विरक्तिरन्यत्र प्रेषते कला प्रपद्यवनस्य यथा तुष्टिषु दापे अनुभाषम्.
Okay, so one will feel very and we we can see those who are devotees who are completely surrendered to Krishna, they're very happy. This situation is called Virakti Anyatra Syat. It is the result of devotional service. Krishna will provide everything, and then the more one makes advancement in devotional service, the more one becomes detached from material opulence and material activity. This is spiritual nature, full of bliss. This is also described in Bhagavad Gita. Param drishtva nivardate. One ceases to take part in material enjoyment upon tasting superior blissful life in spiritual existence. By advancement in spiritual knowledge, which is considered to be like a blazing fire, all material desires are burned to ashes. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the fire of transcendental knowledge burns to ashes the sinful, right, reactions. So there is a verse like that. One who is situated in the boat of the transcendental knowledge, he can cross, even if it's considered to be the worst of all sinners, that is there. And then he says, yeah, this will burn to ashes all. So material desires are burned to ashes. The perfection of mystic yoga is possible when one is continuously in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by discharging devotional service. A devotee is always thinking of the Supreme Person at every step of his life. When Prabhupada says like this, devotee means we can understand that we are always thinking of Supreme Person at every step of our life. Then we are devotee. Every conditioned soul is full of reactions of his past life, but all dirty things are immediately burned to ashes if one simply executes devotional service. Like Vasudeva Parayan, Agam Dhunvanti Karsnena, Niharam.
मूर्छित केवला भक्त
Ah,
गमधुनवती काट से निहर में भास्कर.
this is described in Narada Pancharatra. Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam Tatparatvena Nirmalam. Okay, so a very joyful life awaits us by surrendering to Krishna. The more we surrender to Krishna, the more blissful we'll become and more happy. And Krishna will take care. Uh, but sometimes we may think, well, we'll have to go through so much hardship if we don't have any house, any things to stay, like that. How? So Madhvendra Puri, like he was traveling everywhere. He was always chanting, remembering Govinda. Then Govinda came and gave him milk. Right. So for us, yeah, Prabhupada made a nice house in which the whole world can live. So anybody can connect with the temple, do some service. And of course, we don't have facility for everybody to live in the temple now, in this small temple. But maybe in the not maybe in the new temple it will be. So one can stay, take prasadam, serve Krishna, and talk about Krishna to others, speak about Krishna, chant Hare Krishna in the temple. So like that, then life is so happy and time just passes. So Prabhupada has created a unique situation, right? I mean, he has created so many temples where one can easily get prasadam and shelter and stay and not worry about, you know, fighting with material nature. Like, of course, outside also, many devotees are working and they're supporting. So there's also devotional service. So that is the advantage of this. Okay, so we will stop here because we want to read about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Today is his appearance day. So we were reading a lecture by Giriraj Maharaj. So we'll finish that. Let's see, where was that lecture? I think it came in the
You download
downloaded the document. So let's see. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
on page 5.
Okay, page 5. Yeah. 1,
Talked about the Rath Yatra pastime.
4. Okay. I think we didn't read this.
Read about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, him getting initiation. We can start 5 years later, in 1905. He took the vow chanting. Oh, we read that, right? 64 rounds. We read this.
Yeah. So I think he took a vow to chant 1 billion names. 1 billion is 1,000 million. No, 1 billion is how many? 100?
1,000 million. Yes.
1,000 million. Yeah. 1,000 million names. He was chanting 10 million monthly because he was chanting 3 lakh, that is 192 rounds. For his disciples, Srila Prabhupada fixed the minimum number of 16 rounds per day, which takes most devotees about 2 hours. Okay, that we read. So in Mayapur, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati constructed a grass hut where he lived simply and chanted day and night. If rain came and leaked through the thatch roof, he would just hold up an umbrella and continue chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram Hare Hare. To complete his vow took more than 9 years to chant 1 billion names. But even then, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati would write, preach, and serve the Dham. So he was writing also. One program he attended and he was preaching also. And he was chanting. Even then, okay. One program he attended was especially significant. In Bengal, the caste Brahmanas held a strange hold on people's religious practices. So the caste Brahmanas, they were saying this is how religious practice should be done. A stranglehold. Yeah, they were. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had spoken openly against them and their false claim based on their supposed high birth, that they possessed exclusive right to be gurus and perform Brahminical functions. They were saying we are Brahmanas, we will lead the society and like that. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, no, this is not how it is. Naturally, when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Sri Siddhanta Saraswati challenged them, the Brahmanas reacted. An assembly of Smarta Brahmanas and Jata Gosais came together to try to refute the arguments of the pure Vaishnavas and published a tract against them. In response, the Vaishnava called a 3-day public meeting to discuss the relative positions of Brahmins and Vaishnavas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was expected to be the main speaker, but severe rheumatism rendered him bedridden. So he became sick, so he sent his son. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself was not born in a Brahmin family. Obviously, neither was his son. Now the question may be raised that since Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was a ray of Vishnu, an eternal associate of Krishna sent from the spiritual realm to the material world, he is a Nayana Manjari, right? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Yes.
So he's Nayan Manjari. He came from the spiritual world. Krishna could have arranged for him to take birth in the highest class of Brahmin family with all Brahminical qualification, but he did not. Why not? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explains that the Lord does not arrange for pure devotees to take birth only in high class families with all advantages of good health, education, culture, wealth, strength, and so on, because ordinary people would feel discouraged. They would think, oh, I didn't take birth in a high class family. I didn't have this or that advantage. What is the hope for me? So Krishna does not always send his devotees into very Brahminical families like that. To set an example that anybody can become a pure devotee. Because if only those born in Brahmin families and like that were pure devotees, then people would say, oh, we didn't have that birth, so we cannot become pure devotees. So Haridas Thakur, right, he's in a Muslim family. And he became a pure devotee. So it's to show that anybody without consideration of one's birth can become a pure devotee of Krishna. So that is why Krishna sends. So great souls take birth in various kinds of families to show us the example that anyone in any condition, even if not born in a Brahmin family, can become Krishna conscious, and to give us the hope that we too can become Krishna conscious. So, after the publication of the caste Brahman's tract on the eve of public meeting to be convened so there was a debate going on. Who is higher, Brahmanas or Vaishnavas? So, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was sick. So he cried out in desperation, "Is there no one in Vaishnava world who can reply to these people, and by presenting scriptural evidence and logic stop their base activities?" So Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his son, took up the challenge and he wrote an essay um, regarding comparison of Brahmanas, and he went to the meeting. Many caste Brahmanas, although not invited, also went to the meeting. Understanding that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was indisposed and unable to attend, they swaggered about, confident that, and they thought, yeah, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a learned scholar, he's not coming, so whoever is coming will definitely defeat him. So they were speaking, maybe if one person was speaking from one side about the Vaishnavas, and then another person was speaking about another side about the Brahmanas. Siddhanta Saraswati was the first speaker. He began by quoting various statements from scriptures about the exalted position of Brahmins. So he glorified the Brahmins, and the caste Brahmins in the audience were delighted. He was so brilliant that he could speak better about the high position of Brahmins than the Brahmins themselves. So, of course, he was very scholarly and like that. But then he began quoting verses from scripture about positions of Vaishnavas, establishing that Vaishnavas were even higher than the Brahmanas, that irrespective of one's birth, if one accepted the Vaishnava principles, he would attain a position more exalted than that of Brahman. The Brahmins in the audience were completely overwhelmed, seeing no way to counter Sri Siddhanta Saraswati's argument. The Smarta Brahmins and Jata Gosais slink away, means they just left. They could not refute what he was saying. Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt assured that his mission was in capable hands. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was happy that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is carrying on the mission, and that Sri Siddhanta Saraswati was a worthy successor to carry on his cause. And Siddhanta Saraswati began to preach far and wide. He was fearless and open in criticism of anything false, and his examples and instructions remain relevant to us today. So Saraswati Thakur was a prodigious writer and speaker on various topics, including how to present the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He noted that there were people who thought you should only say positive, not negative things. So Giriraj Maharaj is saying, when I was in Madras, I was just preaching as I had heard Srila Prabhupada preach, and people reacted. Prabhupada would say many things about demigod worship and karmis and like that. Even friends, people who were hosting and me and supporting me, advised me, don't criticize others. Just say what you want about your philosophy and activities. So, wherever Giriraj Maharaj was saying, they noticed that he's criticizing. But he is saying that I was speaking like how Prabhupada was speaking. So Saraswati Thakur averred that it was imperative not only to elucidate the truth, but also to criticize anything false. Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. In these prayers, right? What is the prayer? Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. So anything that is opposed to devotional service, he smashes that to established. Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Ujjvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute. Then the last verse, what is that? That is the one which says Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta.
Namaste Lord Shmurti Adintari Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Hari.
Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta. So Viruddha means anything that is opposed to devotional service taught by Rupa Goswami. Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta. Okay, so because in Kali Yuga there is so much false propaganda that we have to be very clear. There cannot be any ambiguity in our message. So you have to present who is God very clearly, not say this is God, that is God, everybody is God like that. And what is his teachings very clearly. The positive method by itself is not most effective method of propaganda in a controversial age like the present. The negative method, which seeks to differentiate the truth from non-truth in all its forms, is even better calculated to convey the direct inconceivable significance of the absolute. This is, I think, from Bhakti Siddhanta. It is a necessity which cannot be conscientiously avoided by the dedicated preacher of the truth if he wants to be a loyal servant of God. The method is sure to create an atmosphere of controversy in which it is quite easy to lose one's balance of judgment. But the ways of delusioning energy are so intricate that unless their mischievous nature is fully exposed, it is not possible for the soul in the conditioned state to avoid the snares spread by the enchantress for encompassing the ruin of her only two willing victims. It is a duty which shall be sacred to all who have been unable to attain even a distant glimpse of the absolute. Srila Prabhupada also demonstrated this approach. He had a friend named Dr. Patel who would accompany him on morning walks. On Juhu Beach, Dr. Patel was highly literate. So Dr. Patel always used to come with Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Bombay, and they would have a conversation. He has written a nice article, Dr. Patel, about Prabhupada. And he was very educated, he knew Sanskrit, he was quite sharp. So one morning, Dr. Patel started praising a popular religious figure of India. And Srila Prabhupada in turn began to criticize the figure. Dr. Patel protested, "You cannot criticize like this." But Srila Prabhupada replied, "I am not saying, Krishna is saying, Namam dushkritino muda prapadyante naradama, maya aprita jnana asurim bhavamashritaha." If you are not surrendered to Krishna, you are a miscreant in one of these categories. Fool, rascal, demon. Dr. Patel became agitated and raised his voice, and Srila Prabhupada raised his. The whole situation became both tense and intense. Finally, Dr. Patel's friends dragged him away. It was like in a boxing ring. When the bell rings to signal the end of the fight, the two opponents just keep going at each other, and the referee has to tear them apart. So, it's like, for the first time, Dr. Patel stopped coming for morning walks, and Srila Prabhupada also said, "Now, no more discussion. We will read only Krishna book." But after a couple of days, Dr. Patel was walking in one direction on the beach, and Prabhupada was walking in the other, and as Dr. Patel described it, something in his heart just drew him to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. He offered obeisances and said, "Prabhupada, I am sorry, but we are trained to respect all the accredited saints of India." And Srila Prabhupada replied, "Yes, and our business is to point out who is not a saint." He had learned from his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, that we not only tell who is a saint, we also explain who is not a saint. And that is the mercy of the Vaishnava. So people know clearly what is what. So who is a Mahatma? One who is taken shelter of Radharani. Mahatma anastamam partha devim prakriti mashrita bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadimuvyayam. So like that, one who has taken shelter of Krishna, that person is a saint. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantasya dridhavrataha namasyantasya mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. So like that, of course, it's one who has taken shelter of Krishna. Krishna says that he is a saint, sadhu. And then he also says, "Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vivasito isa." Even if he is found to do some abominable activity, but he is engaged with determination and he repents, and very quickly he'll become righteous. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvashanchim ganchati.
So
Montes.
I was thinking we have seen Amoglila Prabhu, criticize of those fake gurus, and but it comes out to be negative on ISKCON because he was also removed for a month because he had criticized Swami Vivekanand or something. So I don't know. This is the way that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is doing, but
Yeah,
and so many become enemies also because you're criticizing them, saying that they are not properly following in their faults and.
yeah, it has to be done very like very tactfully and very articulate. I mean, but yeah, you don't. Prabhupada would never openly criticize. This is in a conversation with Dr. Patel one on one, but of course, it's published in a book now. But in open, he would not generally speak like names of different within his community of devotees. He would say, but we never hear like Prabhupada speaking anything openly against because it will create, you know, disturbance, and people will also become. So that one thing I mean, Prabhupada, he generally would say those who don't surrender to Krishna, but he would not take names in public classes. I have not seen him do that. But in his private conversations with devotees, he would say something like, yeah, so I mean, one Krishna is saying, his here Prabhupada is saying, yeah, if you're not surrendering to Krishna, then, or you don't accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you are one of these four things. So, but generally, yeah, we can say like that without like, taking any who is surrendered, who is not surrendered. Like that. We don't know, and of course, the great souls they know. So we cannot say what also they say. Prabhupada can say many things, but we cannot. So he said like that. I'm sometimes because of my age, I'm an older man. People will not take me. But yeah, so although Giriraj Maharaj was, and he wrote to Prabhupada, I think, and Prabhupada approved of his whatever he was doing, Madras. So okay, so we will continue. Yeah, but we have to be very careful because it can create a lot of negativity and
Here too, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there were so many enemies, they were trying to kill him. Was it in the same assembly that he was stoned and Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj, he had to exchange clothes
hmm,
and he got saffron and everybody thought he is Bhaktisiddhanta.
hmm.
Was it in the same Brahman, caste Brahman assembly?
Um, sometimes it is shown like that, but I think it is coming up in the reading here. He was doing parikrama. He says once when he and his will read this. Saraswati Thakur was a tremendously powerful and successful preacher who fearlessly spoke the truth. So they are not afraid, so they will speak. That's what like and is pure preaching inspired. Even if they have to give up their life, they are not afraid. So like that sometimes. Um, pure pure preaching inspired hundreds of thousands of people to follow. But he also had enemies. He was the enemy of falsehood, and consequently, people who were thriving on falsehood sometimes became his enemies. Once, when he and his party were performing the Navadvip Parikrama, the caste Brahmanas hired gundas, thugs, who let loose a volley of stones and boulders on the party, aiming to take Shla Saraswati Thakur's life. There were attempts on other occasions as well. Yeah, I think that maybe other in the Abhay Charan it is described like that. That he was giving class and
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe that. So many times it happened.
Hmm.
But one of his disciples cleverly exchanged his white dress for Saraswati Thakur's saffron robe. So Saraswati Thakur emerged disguised and escaped. But it was a terrible scene. It looked like a massacre with the streets of Navadvip stained with the blood of Vaishnavas. Some devotees suffered gashes and fractures, but by Krishna's grace, none were killed. So they were attacking with stones and like that. It was a dark moment, but when it came to light that the attack had been perpetrated by the caste Goswamis, the public sided with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and the Gaudiya Math. And the caste Goswami's opposition to him lost whatever credibility it had. So by this act, actually, when people came to know that they had actually hired gundas, people lost faith in them. As news of the event spread, those in learned circles protested in newspapers and magazines. The chief police inspector in Navadvip was sacked, and the parikrama continued under full police protection. So, yeah, later when urged to press charges against the culprit, Srila Saraswati Thakur declined, saying that the Gundas had done a human service. Otherwise, how could the Gaudiya Math have been featured on the front pages of all newspapers? So, because of this, then everybody was covering Gaudiya Math and what happened, and they became famous. So, Srila Saraswati Thakur was the enemy of falsehood, but he was the well wisher of everyone, even of people who were inimical to him. Although Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was so austere and rigid, so strict with himself, when it came to preaching, he was ready to spend any amount of money and do anything. When I was first serving in India in 1970, only affluent people could afford cars, mainly the locally manufactured Fiats and Ambassadors. So, cars were not so common in 1970s. Giriraj Maharaj is saying. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had a limousine back in the 1930s. So at that time he had a limousine, which is in 1930s when people didn't have anything, and he had the best car, and he dressed nicely. He would typically wear a dhoti, but on occasion as required, he would don a double-breasted coat, stockings, and shoes. He had fine furniture for receiving special guests. As referring to the elite, he said, "We are preaching by the approaching the people of the world dressed even somewhat better than they, showing knowledge even somewhat greater than theirs. So we are excelling them in everything, our knowledge, even dress, being even somewhat more stylish than they, without which they would think us worthless and not listen to our Harikatha." So he was using all these things to impress them that devotees are not unsuccessful materially. I don't know. So I have to go to various places for propagating Harikatha. So I must present myself as a learned and decent gentleman. Otherwise, non-devotees will not give me their time. He used all means to broadcast the message of Krishna. Every employing the latest technologies, he directed the construction of dioramas and other exhibits and staged huge theistic exhibitions. So dioramas which depict Krishna's pastimes and everything, he had a big exhibition. Built a grand marble temple on the bank of Ganges at Bagh Bazaar in Calcutta. The procession that brought the deities on beautiful rath from the mutt at Ulta Dangi to the new temple was enormous. Millions of people lined the street along the 2 mile route, which took 4 hours to traverse. This must be from Bhakti Vikas Maharaj's book. And 25,000 men divided into 43 groups accompanied the deities with loud Harinam Sankirtan. So there was a grand procession to bring the deities to the Bagh Bazaar temple from Ulta Danga. Says like that. And there's 2 mile procession. Like so many people were there for its work and Harinam Sankirtan. Gaudiya Math owned 4 cars, a horse and buggy, elephant, camel. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would treat prominent guests to excursion on the Ganges in one of the Matha's launches and expound Harikatha to them. In January of 1935, the governor of Bengal, Sir John Anderson, visited Mayapur. So he's a British guy. He came to Mayapur. This was a major event because the Britishers were rulers and Saraswati Thakur was one of their subjects, their vassals. But the governor, accompanied by many other dignitaries, came all the way to Mayapur to meet Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and see his work. So he was not an ordinary person, he was governor of Bengal and he came to visit Mayapur because he had heard about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and he wanted to see. Despite Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's tremendous purity and potency and success as a preacher, however, within his own institution, there were disconcerting signs that some of his leading disciples were becoming materially infected. With so much opulence, fame, and respect, some of them had become distracted. So there was so much money. So then, instead of realizing that all facility was meant for the service of the Lord, to bring people to Lord's unallowed service, they were enjoying it and all the adulation. In an effort to reform his followers, Saraswati spoke strongly, and he restricted the use of certain facilities only for service, only for preaching, to curb the devotees' materialistic tendencies. Of course, he had also many sincere disciples who did not become materially affected. At the same time, Srila Saraswati Thakur continued his propaganda activities, writing, publishing, traveling, and preaching, and was successful wherever he went. Still, he was disturbed that some of his disciples had become so mundane. When he reached the age of 62, Saraswati Thakur experienced a decline in health, and he made statements indicating that he would be soon leaving. In late October 1936, he traveled to Puri, a holy place that was also warmer than Calcutta. But in December, though he was in a weakened condition, he wanted to return to Calcutta, and the disciple arranged for his travel by train. In Calcutta, Saraswati Thakur's disciple called in some of the city's most renowned physicians. When one advised him, "You have to rest more, you can't speak so much," Saraswati Thakur proceeded to preach for hours about the purpose of human life, that the physical body was temporary and the soul's absolute necessity was to serve the Lord. So he was told, don't speak too much, and he spoke for hours about the importance of human life. He felt that if he couldn't speak about Krishna, what would be the use of living? He said he had some quote like, those who have life, they can preach. Pran hoy, hetu prachar, something like that. Those who have life, they can preach. Yahan pran hoy.
प्राण आछे यार से हेतु प्रचार.
प्राण अच्छे यार से हेतु प्रचार. So, what is the use if we can't talk about Krishna? What is the use of living? Like in Bhagavatam, there is a verse. What is the use of the ears if they don't hear about Krishna? They are like ear holes of a snake. What is the use of the eyes if they don't see the beautiful form of Krishna? They are like the
Plumes of a peacock feather.
What is the use of a tongue which does not glorify Krishna?
False tongue. What is the use of the head if it does not bow down? It's like a head on dead body.
Correct. So, yeah. So, what is the use of life if you can't speak about Krishna? Like that he says. Chant Hare Krishna. You have to chant Hare Krishna. So, we have the tongue Krishna has given us, and we have the ears. We can hear Krishna Katha, we hear Hare Krishna, we chant. So, on December 23, he instructed the devotees gathered at his bedside. I have upset many persons' minds. Many might have considered me their enemy because I was obliged to speak the plain truth of service and devotion towards the absolute Godhead. I have given them all those troubles only so they might turn their face towards the personality of God without any desire for gain and with unalloyed devotion. So he says, I have spoken, but it has upset the minds of people. But I have spoken only for their benefit, so that one day they will turn to the Supreme Lord and become pure devotees. So surely someday they'll be able to understand that. So they'll be able to understand that even though I spoke like that, but it was for their benefit. I advise all to preach the teachings of Rupa Raghunath with all energy and resources. Our ultimate goal should be to become the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Rishi Rupa and Raghunath Goswamis. Rupa Manjari Pada. What song is that? I think you sang that one. You should all work conjointly, under the guidance of your spiritual master with a view to serve the absolute knowledge, the personality of Godhead. You should live somehow or other without any quarrel in this mortal world only for the service of Godhead. Do not please give up the service of Godhead in spite of all dangers, all criticisms, and all discomforts. Do not be disappointed, for most people in this world do not serve the personality of Godhead. Do not give up your own service, which is your everything and all. Neither reject the process of chanting and hearing of the transcendental holy name of Godhead. You should always chant the transcendental name of Godhead with patience and forbearance like a tree and humbleness like a straw. There are many amongst you who are very well qualified and able workers. We have no other desire whatsoever. After midnight on December 31, Srila Saraswati Thakur left this world. His disciples took his body to Mayapur and established his samadhi there. This is 1936, I think. 1936.
Also, I've heard all the clocks stopped at that time. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard something like that, that all the clocks stopped. Means the time did not move, right?
Mm.
Was it a worldwide event?
I don't think so. It's in Mayapur.
So, okay. That is amazing, right? But then the time, then they would have to adjust the time later on. So, or is it just metaphorically it is mentioned? Or so let's see.
Surprisingly, all the clocks in Gaudiya Math stopped working at exactly.
Yeah, here it says it was 5:30. All clocks in Matha stopped simultaneously. The steady ticking soon replaced by wailing and crying. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Um, where is this?
I pasted a link of this video, the 6 minute, about this clock stopping.
Okay, let's see.
I don't know how that is. Expand.
Stayed at Chattagapparvat and preached vigorously to his disciples and visitors. During one confidential discourse,
and we can't hear.
Okay. Yeah, I will set the sound here.
That we will not live in this world very long, and that if we can die while continuously doing Krishna Kirtan, then our birth will have been successful. We are only carriers of the message of Sri Chaitanya. In December, Saraswati Thakur returned to Calcutta and stayed at Bagbazar Gaudiya Math. It was here that he gave his last instructions to his disciples. Always preach the message of Sri Rupa Raghunath, the followers of Sri Chaitanya. Our only desire is to become the dust at the feet of the followers of Sri Rupa Raghunath. Wasti concluded his earthly pastimes and returned to
Shalda station. From there, there's a special train to Krishnagar. From there, and from Bagbazar Math we carried that ourselves. Then, early morning, made to sit and ask Thakur. And in the conclusion, Haridas Thakur. So the thing, any
Somewhere in this lecture, maybe it's saying.
Yeah, it's at 1.27 or something.
Okay.
Everyone, all the clocks of the mutt, stopped at exactly that moment. Arrangements were then made to take Saraswati Thakur's body to Mayapur by train, where he was placed in Samadhi. Along the way, thousands of people gathered to pay their respects to this great personality who had boldly preached the message of Sri Chaitanya for the benefit of all.
Okay. Yeah. So then news of his departure was broadcast on All India Radio, and an official day of mourning was observed in Bengal. The Corporation of Calcutta held a special meeting in tribute to his memory and issued a resolution expressing its members' deep sorrow. So everybody was like, it was very famous. So it also went on All India Radio. If he was not so famous, they would not have broadcast it. So the mayor addressed, I rise to condole the passing away of His Divine Grace Paramahamsa Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Okay. This melancholy event happened on the sad event happened on the first day of the new year. So in 1936 he passed away. 1937, 1st of January or something. Because it's 5:30 in the morning. So 5:30 in the morning, I think. Anyway, born in 1874, he dedicated his whole life to religious pursuit and dissemination of cultural wealth of this great ancient land of ours. So they were all in his praise. So like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada was also willing to make adjustments. And he used also everything, all modern technology, everything, in Krishna's service to spread Krishna consciousness. Airplanes, computers. So like that, there was a theistic exhibition in Los Angeles. Yeah.
So I was reading in that Bhakti Vaibhav book. We were discussing about Sir John Anderson, right, who was visiting the governor. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had ordered meat for him, and it says on some occasion he had cigarettes provided for the German scholar. How can we explain that?
Yeah. Meat and then what? Yeah.
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes. I don't know how to explain. So, yeah. I mean, for preaching, he was, I think, saying that. He was also saying that London, if you go and if you have nothing to eat, then you should, for preaching purpose, you can even, whatever you have to do, so that they will hear Krishna Katha. And of course, like he went to who? That yesterday we were reading that he went and he told him to give up eating non-veg. Where was that? Somewhere he went, right? Yesterday we were reading. Yeah, yesterday we were reading, right? Bhaktisiddhanta, and he requested them to give up eating non-veg.
Oh, we were reading about Subhash Chandra Bose yesterday.
But before that, I think he went somewhere and then he said, give up eating non-veg. Okay.
Also, I mean, when he was saying that we approach the people, we should be more stylish than them. We read this, right?
Yeah.
we should look better than them. But that, I don't know if that would work.
Yeah.
I mean, if we are using all the luxurious things, then they would say that this is, they're preaching something different, they're behaving something different.
Correct. That also can happen. So maybe it was a different time and he wanted people to take him seriously. I don't know. So, like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think this cannot be applied today.
Mm. Mm. So, the line of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is continuing by His divine grace. But it is not easy to preach in Kali Yuga. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had many enemies, and Srila Prabhupada did too. As Srila Prabhupada said, big preaching means big enemies. If we just stay at home or tell people, I am okay, you are okay, everything is okay, we are not going to make many enemies, but neither we are going to have much effect. In fact, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati sarcastically remarked, "Main bhi chup, tum bhi chup. I'll be quiet, you be quiet." Meaning, I won't disturb you, you don't disturb me. But that was not his mood, and that was not Srila Prabhupada's mood, and that should not be our mood either. And of course, the holy name, the essence of everything, is chanting of the holy name. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati advised, Krishna and Krishna Nam are not two entities. Krishna is his holy name and the holy name is Krishna. Krishna Nam is the son of Nanda, Shyam Sundar. Our only devotional service and duty is Sri Krishna Nam Sankirtan. This understanding is auspicious. And to one disciple he wrote, I am overjoyed to hear that your enthusiasm for chanting is increasing. As our contaminations are removed by chanting, the Lord's form, qualities, and pastimes will be revealed to us in the holy name. There is no point in making a separate effort to artificially remember the Lord's form, qualities, and pastimes. The Lord and His name are one and the same. This will be understood clearly when the coverings in your hearts are removed. By chanting without offense, you will personally realize that all perfections come from the holy name. Through chanting, the distinction that exists between the self and the gross and subtle bodies is gradually effaced, and that one realizes his own spiritual form. Once aware of the spiritual body, as one continues to chant, one sees the transcendental nature of the Lord's form. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual form of the living being and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's form. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual qualities of the living being and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's qualities. So when our form revealed, it will attract us to Krishna's form. When our qualities are revealed by the holy name, then we'll be attracted to Krishna's qualities. And only the holy name reveals the spiritual activities of the living being and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's pastimes. By service to the holy name, we do not mean only chanting of the holy name. It also includes the other duties of the chanter. If we serve the holy name with the body, mind, and soul, then the direction of that service spontaneously manifests like the sun and in the clear sky of the chanter's hearts. What is the nature of holy name? Eventually, all these understandings spontaneously appear in the heart of one who chants the holy name. The true nature of Harinam is revealed by listening to, reading, and studying the scriptures. It is unnecessary to write anything further on this subject. So all these things will be revealed to you through this chanting. So let us all chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, so that is about Bhakti Siddhantas. And then we have that some pastimes from Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhav, which we can read, right? Let's see.
Yes.
Vaibhav. So we read with Subhash Chandra Bose yesterday.
Mm.
What did he say? Subhash Chandra Bose came and he requested that he give him some men to participate in the freedom fight against the British. And he said, you are thinking you are Indian, but next life you can be born as British and then you will fight against the Indians. Then he said, if one drop of blood spills from their bodies, then it will cause havoc. Something like that, he said. And other place in Lilamrita it says that they are very skinny and they don't have sufficient strength to fight. So that also he says in that in Lilamrita.
And if they die thinking of Britishers, in the next birth they'll become a Britisher.
Britishers, yeah. And why don't you give me men? Can you take care of all of? I can take care. you can send me unlimited men. So if we send our men to you, then can you take care of all this? But I can take care even if you send me so many men. So like that he was saying. Okay, which other pastime we can read?
So yeah, this is on page 505. He would not maintain any loan. No, he will keep everything as a loan. And he would spend so much. So 505.
Okay, let's look at the pastime of Bhakti. Collection and spending.
Collection and spending. Mhm.
Oh, it's a big one.
Yeah, but this one that I was saying is on the third page of this section.
Oh, one. Okay. The Matha is the center of Hari Kirtan, and Hari Kirtan is life and
We can start with Prabhupada's words. Up, little up. Yeah.
His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada recalled, you bring money and he'll spend. And if you say, sir, we collected this money for this purpose, yes, he spent. You again collect. Somebody has paid for constructing a temple and he has spent for another purpose. Then when the devotee will say, oh, what will this man say? That's all right. You collect again. He'll get some money and then make some arrangement for doll exhibition and spend all the money. Sending sannyasis and brahmacharis out for begging and keeping them in financial difficulty was meant to help them become humble and pure. It was not an easy service, especially in cities. So he would always keep them like on their toes, not become comfortable by having a lot of money. It was not an easy service, especially in cities where modern urbanites mostly considered money sweeter than honey and were not eager to relinquish it, especially to sadhus, whom they tended to disdain as feckless, parasitic. Okay. So they thought sadhus were just parasites. And the matha is the center of Hari Kirtan, and Hari Kirtan is life and consciousness. To make sure there is no place for sloth, bad conduct, and trivial thought, gossip, or vulgar desire at mutt, you must go door to door where your Hari Kirtan will be tested by the public. They will think they are givers and you are the receiver of alms, and in other words, that their status is higher than yours, and will criticize you in many ways, considering you objects of their mercy. So people think that when we are giving donation, we are giving mercy to the saints, and they are poor, so they will think that you are like a beggar. We are the ones who are giving. Perhaps some of them will be ready to kick you out. Then on one hand, you'll be able to become Trinadapi Sunichena and Manade. And others, you will take sincere care to make your lives and characters pure and exemplary. Besides, it will be beneficial for you that as you correct the mistakes of common people by citing the message of Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru, you yourself will not commit those mistakes. So if you are preaching, then you will be careful what you are saying. And don't be upset if anyone criticizes you personally, but your Guru Varga, the Shastra, and the Mahajans are completely faultless, supremely liberated and eternal associates of the Lord. And by speaking actual truth, you should correct anyone who criticizes them. By doing so, both yourselves and foolish criticizers will gain topmost auspiciousness. You may cultivate unenthusiasm for door-to-door bhiksha, and while beset by anarthas, indulge in slothfulness on the plea of trying to avoid others' criticism. Consider Nirjan Bhajan as one's best interest. So you may think that you will not go and preach and you'll do Nirjan Bhajan, but in doing so, your character will not become corrected, nor will you be able to attain the life of actual devotional practice. I will never give you the opportunity to become deceitful on the path of devotion by your absconding to a reclusive residence where no one will hear your words or even see you, and your heart will thus remain undisciplined. You are my dearest friends. You may fall into difficulty. You may gain temporary honor from public or temporarily become the object of their blasphemy. which you find unpleasant and intolerable, and thus desire to give up the path of satisfying Bhagwan's senses to engage in satisfying those of the public and of oneself, but I will not allow this to happen to you. Okay. None of the Gaudiya Mutts had a bank account. All funds received were promptly spent. Each year before Gaur Purnima, loans were taken to cover the cost of upcoming festival. Reimbursement usually being completed shortly before Janmashtami, for which new loans were required. Gradually paid off just prior to next Gaur Purnima. So from Gaur Purnima to Janmashtami, Gaur Purnima they will take funds, take a loan, and then Janmashtami they will pay it off. And they will take loan for Janmashtami, which will again be paid off before next Gaur Purnima. Then again they will take funds for Gaur Purnima. Whenever sufficient funds arrived, creditors were called to come quickly and take their due, lest in the meantime the present amount was spent for another purpose. Having drawn a loan to expedite construction of Madras Mutt, the devotees were stationed there, apprehensively informed their Guru Maharaj, expecting that he would be dissatisfied. But he expressed appreciation. So, take a loan and informed Guru Maharaj that, yeah, we have taken a loan for building the temple. And they thought Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would be dissatisfied. But he's expressed appreciation. You have risked your future for serving Krishna. Not only is the present being used in his service, but you have pledged your future to him. For by incurring debt, you have committed yourselves to work later to clear it. I am very pleased to learn that you have taken such a risk. Okay. During the annual festival of Gaudiya Mutt in Calcutta, preachers were daily dispatched to different parts of the city for collection. A standard technique was to approach a local gentleman and ask for him for names of neighboring pious and benevolent citizens who might be inclined to donate. One day, Srimad Dhruva Maharaja and one or two brahmacharis were directed by a man to a specific house with the assurance that they would be well received there. So they would go and ask for donations, and then they would meet somebody and they'd say, can you tell some other people's names? And they would say, yeah, these people are very good. They will donate. So then one day Bon Maharaj went. Somebody told him you should go there. Finally, finding the door ajar, Srimad Bon Maharaj entered, surprising a woman in the hallway who asked, you are a sadhu, what do you want from me? Notwithstanding her gender, Srimad Bon Maharaj presented a printed invitation to the festival and then requested a donation. Hearing guffaws, he turned and saw the man who had sent them there, watching mischievously from the road with some friends, and realized he had been sent to a brothel. So somebody had sent to like a place like that, brothel. Shocked and shamed, he returned to the mutt.
Same thing happened with Ajamal's case, right? People made a joke and sent the sadhus to Ajamal's house.
Yeah, you asked. Yeah. Shocked and shamed, he returned to the mutt, relating this incident to Guru Maharaj and refused to go for further bhiksha. So he said, no, I will now not go for bhiksha. Srila Saraswati Thakur devoted his next lecture to addressing issues thus raised. Many of you have come to me leaving behind substantial personal property, yet still I send you for collection. Do you think I am mistaken in doing so? Materialistic people will certainly always want to corral us within their maya. But we must learn to utilize every situation for serving Krishna. Then only we can be saved. So whatever happens to us, we should deal with others in such a way to give an impression of Krishna. Although not everyone will. So nothing in this world should be rejected, but engaged in his service. Renunciation does not mean elimination. As you belong to Krishna, others also belong to Krishna. If you alone want a connection with Krishna, abandoning others, then they will remain your enemies. And one day they will attract you to their position. So why should we be afraid of any circumstances? Rather, when you see that everything is meant only for Krishna's service, you will see that all situations are propitious and everyone is a friend. By this positive adjustment to the environment, by seeing everything in relation to Krishna, everything will remind you of Krishna. Visualizing anything as non-Krishna ought to be abandoned, for there is no non-Krishna. Ishavashyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena punjita. Despite widespread deprecation, the Gaudiya Mutt received financial backing from persons convinced of its message. It continues to receive the hearty support of numerous members of all communities. It is carrying on a worldwide propaganda on voluntary contribution, most of which is collected by preachers from charitably disposed persons. Those who give to the preachers of Gaudiya Math, as a rule, do so unconditionally. It is on this kind of disinterested charity that the Gaudiya Math is subsisting through years of economic depression, unprecedented in the annals of mankind. So there was some opposition also, but they were getting money. Every paisa that came to Math and how it was spent was supposed to be recorded. A list of donors and an expenditure report were published regularly in Sajjan Itoshni and later in Gaudiya, in the Gaudiya, including names of those who have donated less than a rupee. Saraswati Thakur stated that every last paisa collected by servants of Gaudiya Math, by laboring greatly from morning till evening, was to be spent in propagating the necessity to satisfy Krishna's senses and for stopping the sense gratification of the world populace, all of whom were suffering due to bewilderment. On Gaur Jayanti, Gaur Purnima, 1929 at Yoga Peeth, Saraswati Thakur berated Sri Vaishnavananda Vrajavasi and other preachers for directly spending bhiksha on personal items such as cloth, umbrella, and shoes. He called together the leaders and explained, any collection should come into the temple accounts. First, the deity's needs should be met, and if there is any balance, the matha will see what you require, not that you directly take from the income. He further warned, if bhiksha brought with considerable difficulty by brahmacharis and sannyasis is misspent, the mission will be wrecked. Then a day will come when the pujaris will take from the donation box to buy coconut oil for their wives' hair. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati discouraged deceptive methods of collection and did not acknowledge that the end justifies the means. He inculcated that bhiksha was to be accompanied by and was a function of preaching, and its real purpose, and indeed the whole Gaudiya Math institution, was to collect souls, not money. He did not want his disciples to be money oriented and was concerned that those inclined for collection be at least enthusiastic for bhajan as for bhiksha. Okay, so like that. Once Srimad Gabastinenemi Maharaj visited the home of a rich man in Bombay to request a donation for making tube wells for Sri Chaitanya Math, lacking which resident sadhus were facing much inconvenience. The man offered him some fruit and sweets, saying, take this fruit first and we'll discuss. Yet Srimad Nemi Maharaj declared, I won't take a crumb unless you agree to sponsor 3 tube wells. The man's wife anxiously entreated her husband, it will be inauspicious if the sadhu leaves without taking any food. Please give him the money. The donation was clinched, but upon hearing how Srila Saraswati Thakur became displeased. Okay, so like that there is.
Yeah, we can read another one. So this is about his attachment to Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is page 350. Yeah.
So how he was attached, comparative importance. Okay, 350. It's 49. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as he stood up, okay, here it is. While Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was once glorifying Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's favorite book. He regarded it as a matchless devotional work and the most important biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because it succinctly yet definitively imparts his teachings and gives more insights into nature of Lord's highest texts. So he wanted then do Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad or other narratives. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati himself read both Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad 108 times and told others to do likewise. So 108 times he read both Chaitanya Bhagavad and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he told everybody to read 108 times. Especially in his later life, whenever he got time, he generally read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he explicated the glories of essential connection between Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is no other book in the universe like Srimad Bhagavatam. So he says this book presents a consideration of gradual evolution, like that Krishna Lila described in the 10th canto. What then was the necessity of composing the preceding 9 cantos? In them have been shown the deliberation of these theories to prepare the ground of introducing the main subject. So it is basically preparing our consciousness for the 10th canto. Then the Krishna's transcendental pastimes. There were many who read Srimad Bhagavatam before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came into this world, but the only ones who have been able to seize the real important actual object of Srimad Bhagavatam are they who read it after reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So normally we say Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita. But here it's mentioned to understand the real purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. Only those can understand the real purport of Srimad Bhagavatam who read after reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. In other words, those who have read Srimad Bhagavatam within Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay.
Yes. Please scroll down. If somehow all the books in the world were destroyed.
Yeah. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was one, he was glorifying Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he was saying, if every book in the world was destroyed, leaving only Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, the people of this world would still achieve the ultimate goal of life. And then he said, even if Srimad Bhagavatam was lost, leaving only Chaitanya Charitamrita, there would be no loss to humanity. For whatever has not been revealed in Bhagavatam is found in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. The absolute truth is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the combined form of Radha and Krishna.
And in due course, Mahapralaya will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of. First, put Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So it should be in this order. First put Chaitanya Charitamrita, then put Srimad Bhagavatam, then put Bhagavad Gita. So if the water rises, you first throw Bhagavad Gita. And if the water rises further, you throw Srimad Bhagavatam. But if the water rises more, then don't throw Chaitanya Charitamrita. You drown yourself because there is no life without Chaitanya Charitamrita. That he said.
Yeah, you are swimming in the flood, and if 3 books are too heavy to carry, then first release Bhagavad Gita, then release Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, and then, but under no circumstances release your hold on Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Drown yourself.
For this,
with the book.
Yeah, because after this, the message of Shastra, where does it say? But under no circumstances, or if this one book remains there, the flood can do no actual damage. The message, okay. You have to drown yourself with the book. Okay, so
there is this Madan Mohan Malviya also.
Let's see. Madan Mohan Malviya.
Okay, so that is on page 892.
So Madan Mohan Malviya was the Vice Chancellor of the Banaras Hindu University, BHU. You know, those who don't get into IITs, then they go to BHU or the later ranks during my time. Pandit Sri Madan Mohan Malviya was founder of Banaras Hindu University and a prominent Congress. So he was the one who founded the BHU. He was very respected nationwide. Unlike certain nationalistic leaders, Malviya because some people were just saying Hinduism for political purpose, but he was interested in Shastra and he liked Srimad Bhagavatam. And he was very learned and he always spoke on Bhagavatam. So he came to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. With so many other people, he came to meet Saraswati Thakur in 1925 at the Gaudiya Math. So, he said, when he came, he said, I'm blessed. Today I'm fulfilled. Truly it is my great fortune to have darshan of an ideal Mahapurush. So he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and he expressed his great fortune. Oh, I got your darshan. After hearing Saraswati Thakur give profuse scriptural evidence substantiating his stand that Vaishnavas are Brahmanas, that Vaishnava Dharma is Sanatana Dharma, and Shuddha Bhakti is the natural proclivity of the soul, Malviya was so pleased that he exclaimed, in Bengal, village to village and door to door throughout India, the entire planet, your message must be spread. So he was very impressed with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's teachings. And he said, oh, this message should be given to everybody. Due to a famine of preaching genuine Hari Bhakti, the country is presently drowned in all kinds of bogus dharmas. So he says, now is the time we should propagate Hari Bhakti. Please tell me when you will give me thousands of Brahman devotees. So when will you make so many devotees? Tell me. When shall I get them from you? I immediately want 5,000 disinterested brahmacharis who can distribute Hari Katha from door to door, from sunrise to sunset. So he wanted like 5,000 people going and distributing. Shortly thereafter, news of meeting and topics were discussed and published in several newspapers. Malviya visited Srila Saraswati Thakur several times and delighted in discussing scriptural topics with him. So he liked to discuss scriptures. Once, upon receiving Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's response to his barrage of abstruse questions, so he was asking sometimes very some difficult, abstruse or complicated questions, which may not be very relevant. So he said, I'm not able to, tell you about all this deep subject matter. Once when Malviya wanted to submit some intricate philosophical doubts, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati directed him to ask the devotees. So he said, go and ask the devotees who are cleaning the deity paraphernalia. Malviya said, they will not be, these are very complicated queries or very erudite queries on Vedanta. Your disciples will not be able to reply. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, no, go and ask them. So he approached the pujaris. So they said, oh, we are very busy. We cannot answer. We are busy polishing these items. So please help us. So right now we are busy in this service. When we have finished, your inquiries will be answered. Even though he was a famous dignitary, Malviya humbly agreed to assist. So they engaged him in cleaning deity paraphernalia or polishing. After the brass was cleaned, without saying anything more to the pujaris, Malviya returned to Srila Saraswati Thakur, who asked, were your questions answered? Malviya replied, yes, even without discussion. When I was polishing the Lord's paraphernalia, the explanation automatically came to my mind. Saraswati Thakur responded, yes. Krishna consciousness cannot be approached by a service attitude. Krishna consciousness can be approached by a service attitude, not by any amount of intellectualism. Sevan mukhe hi jivado. Merely reading books and reciting scriptural verses will not help. Those who serve are blessed to understand. Serving Godhead will reveal all answers to questions on Shastra. So, of course, reading books is also service, but just reading books for academic knowledge, just like that. It has to translate into like practical service. Prabhupada would say sometimes like that. In the service of the mission, those who serve are blessed to be understand. Means the mission is to propagate Krishna consciousness. So we should translate into. Preaching is also service. Those who serve are blessed to understand. Serving Godhead will reveal all answers to questions on Shastra. My Gurudev, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, could not even sign his own name. Yet all shlokas and siddhantas came to his mouth because he was Sevanmukh. On another occasion, when Malviya came to ask about idol worship, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati again told him to ask the pujaris. Malviya asked one pujari why he was worshipping stone idols, and he was told that those whose eyes are like stone cannot see the Lord as He is. Then he explained Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. So he said, he was very impressed. Malviya was very impressed with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples who told him all these things. And he said, I want hundreds of thousands of such sadhus who can make India independent. So another time, he's told when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was explaining to Malviya that we are doing like this, we are doing like that. And he said, we publish 6 journals, including the daily Nadya Prakash. Daily we are publishing. And astonished Malviya inquired, how is it possible to produce a daily newspaper about spiritual subjects? How we can? So Saraswati Thakur explained that this universe is like a mustard seed among trillions of universes. And in each universe there are trillions of planets. So our universe is just like in Brahma Samhita also it is mentioned, right, somewhere, that our universe is just like one small mustard seed, rye, in a big bag of mustard seeds. Like if you have a big bag of rye, then our, like that small rye, that's mustard seed, very small, tiny. Our universe is just a small mustard seed. The earth is one of them on which there are so many cities. And even in that small universe, there are trillions of planets, and earth is only one of them. And in that, there are so many cities. And in each city, there are so many daily newspapers, so many editions. And the whole material world is only 1/4 of Supreme Lord's creation. So they are publishing so many newspapers in different cities about different. So, and this material world whole is only 1/4. So how much news we can spread about or tell about the spiritual world, which is much bigger, 3/4. If for a small city they are publishing so many newspapers, so how much we can produce about the spiritual world? But he says, yeah, we could do every moment, I think, maybe he said. But unfortunately, we have no customers. So nobody is going to read like that. So, okay. So we can read some teachings of Bhakti Siddhanta. That quotes are there, right? Where is it? The quotes from Bhakti Siddhanta.
Yeah, in the other Skype I pasted yesterday.
Okay, let's see. Words from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. Quotes from Bhakti Siddhanta. Which we cannot reach now. Or, yeah, it's reaching. Yeah, I think this one. Let's see the other one. Words from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. We are put to test and trial in this world. Only those who attend the kirtan of the devotees can succeed. So we have to always chant the holy name of the Lord to succeed. Every spot on the pilgrim or on the earth where discourses on God are held is a place of pilgrimage. It doesn't matter whether you're in America or wherever. Wherever you're talking about God, that's a place of pilgrimage. Possessions of objects not related to Krishna is our main malady, disease. So our main disease is that we have so many things which are not related to, which are not required for Krishna. Let me not desire anything but the highest good for my worst enemies. So those who are my enemies, let me wish well for them. As dalliance with the body in As dalliance with the body in luxury increases, so wanes the spirit of the service of the Lord. So as bodily sense gratification increases, or comforts of the body and like that, then our service attitude decreases to the Lord. Those favored by God find their paths set by thorns. So they have some difficulty because maybe Krishna wants to glorify them. There is no peace or happiness in our worldly life. Circumstances create turmoil and annoyance. He also said, this world is not
A fit place for gentlemen to
Gentlemen to
live.
live. Yeah. Chant the Mahamantra loudly and with attachment. This will drive away inertia, worldly evils, and pests. So chant loudly with attachment. Be indifferent to bazaar gossip. Stick firmly to your cherished goals. Don't think what this person is saying, that person is saying. You stick to your goal.
Mhm. If I seek the path leading the, I must ignore the countless voices of popular wisdom. Listen
Correct.
only to that of realized souls.
Yes. That quote is not directly like that right here. It's not, but different way it is. Maybe it is there.
Yeah, I mean, I have stored that quote somewhere else, but it's there. If I seek the path leading to that absolute truth, I must ignore the countless voices of popular wisdom.
Correct. So we should hear from the devotees, not from the materialists who don't know the goal of life, and make that follow the direction of the devotees who are, uh, who want our real welfare, the soul's welfare. Be indifferent, okay. Pay due respects to extroverts of the world, but do not be appreciative of their manners and conduct. They are to be shaken off from your mind. A devotee feels the presence of God everywhere, but one averse to the God, Lord denies his existence anywhere. So atheists will say there is no God everywhere, but
So absolute is ancient, thou is brute, impersonal calamity, thou is remote.
you cannot appreciate transcendental matters with the reasoning of this world. It is sheer nonsense to decry them with the measuring stick of your intellect. So we cannot understand everything with our material senses, with our just. To recite name of Shri Krishna is bhakti. Life is for glorification of topics on Hari. If that is stopped, what is need there to carry on life? So if you can't speak on about Krishna, then what is the use?
Yeah, that's what he was saying when the doctor said him you should not speak
Hmm.
much when he's not healthy. Then he says, what is the point of living if I cannot speak on Krishna?
Our span of life on earth is short. Our life will be crowned with success if the body wears out with constant discourses on Hari. So while speaking about Hari, if we just leave our body chanting Hare Krishna or like that, then our life will be successful. We are here on earth not to work as artisans for making big buildings with wood and stone, but to work only as messengers for teaching of Sri Chaitanya Dev. So we are not here to construct big skyscrapers and things like that. Here we are supposed to preach. If we have gotten the message, we are supposed to share it with others. A sycophant means one who is always gives flattery. He is neither a guru nor a preacher. To transform the adverse desires of the jivas is the supreme beauty of the most merciful. So, Krishna consciousness means to transform the desires. To rescue one person from stronghold of Mahamaya is an act of superb benevolence, far superior to opening innumerable hospitals.
That's what I say. If we make one person our devotee, we'll consider our mission to be successful.
Yeah. Unless we are devoted to God, secularism shall not leave us. Okay. Look within, amend yourself rather than pry into the frailties of others. So, when faults in others misguide you. That is coming up, yeah. But he was pointing out the faults in others, right? Um, in this world of Maya, averse to the Lord, full of trials and tribulations, only patience, humility, and respect for others are our true friends for Hari Bhajan. Patience, humility, and respect for others. Trinada Api Sunijena. The Lord Gaurasundar put his devotees in various difficulties and associations to test their patience and strength of mind. Success depends on their good fortune. When faults in others misguide you and delude you, have patience, introspect, and find faults in yourself. Know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. I wish that every selfless, tender-hearted person of Gaudiya Math will be prepared to shed 200 gallons of blood for the nourishment of the spiritual corpus of every individual of this world. So to make devotees, one will work very hard. Okay. To turn somebody towards Krishna. So that is descendants Saraswati. Okay, it's close to 9 o'clock. We can stop here. There are more quotes here. Yeah, if you want to follow the path of true auspiciousness, if you give up the countless opinions of people and only hear the words of Vedas, which are given by the self-realized soul. Okay, so there are many more, but we'll stop for now. Meeting.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.